Listen-only mode.
Good morning and welcome to Part 3 of Acquisition 102 Part A. I guess I should say the third session, not Part 3, but the third session of Acquisition 102 Part A. This is Victoria Beal with the Ohio LTAP Center, and we are so pleased to be able to assist with hosting this training for you. Your presenters today are going to be Wayne Pace and Sean Crawford, who are from the ODOT Office of Real Estate. And I'm going to go over just a couple of housekeeping items and we'll get things rolling. First off, we do have in the handout section of the webinar 3 handouts for you. We have the index of handouts for the course. If you're not able to download them, please do not worry. I'm going to be sending out emails after this webinar to provide you all 3 handouts. I'll also be emailing out the handouts from yesterday's webinar as well. We have also there the slide deck for today. And last but not least, I've included the information on Part B of Acquisition 102, which will be a series of 2 webinars next week. So if you have not yet registered, please feel free to download that information from there and make sure you get yourself registered if you're interested in completing the rest of the course. So with that, the only other thing I wanted to mention is we'll be accepting questions through the question pod and the GoToWebinar box. And since we didn't have any questions yesterday, I have a little task for everyone today. I'd like for you to, at some point in time, please just put hello or hi in the question box and send it in to me, just to make sure that everyone is able to find that and that you know where it is, because we do want you to ask questions if you have them. And I will read the questions off to the presenter, and I know that he is all set to answer as many questions as you have this morning. So it looks like people are finding that box. That's great. Those who've sent it already, I appreciate it. If you haven't yet sent in a hello or hi or a good morning, please do so just so I know that you're there. Other than that, I believe that's all I have. Wayne, are you ready?
I'm ready to go.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. This is our last session of Part A, Session 3. This is going to be a little bit shorter session here. This kind of takes care of the remaining part of the Part A class, if you would have taken the face-to-face class. And so we're going to get into it today. And in the agenda, we're going to talk about the 5201.11 documenting negotiations. We're going to talk about the, it's a little bit of a duplicate. The 5201.11A, which is the billing package, is kind of the same chapter, but within a subpart of the subject. We're going to highlight the review for the 5201.12, the beginning process for the appropriation to appropriate. Then we're going to have a knowledge check after we go through those processes. All right, documenting negotiate the 5201.11, the real estate manual. For documenting negotiate, all a part of the record keeping and for reports, and this is all a part of the manual, real estate manual. When looking at the way it could be used, sometimes that information, you have to go back and review the information that had taken place. Primary source of information when communicating with the Assistant Attorney General's office. If it has to go to appropriation, they review those negotiator notes very thoroughly to find out what had transpired, what had taken place. So with this being said, what had happened to document the concerns and responses from the property owner, write down and document the issues. How did he feel about what was going on? Those are very, very important information to be documented, and it gives the reader a full gist of what's happening and taking place. Accurately documenting the negotiating process, provide detailed information about the meeting with the owner. A lot of times we get in a habit of when we're writing our notes, we put a lot of abbreviated comments, and not everyone can understand those abbreviations. So it's always best to spell everything completely out. Try to not use abbreviations if possible, but make sure that everything is fully written out and fully expressed. Boilerplate language, try to watch doing the typical boilerplate language, and the reason why is because property owners and property and parcel owners, they're all have their own individuality, and they have their from another set of negotiator notes. Once again, I kind of try to refrain from doing that as much as possible. Copying, pasting email into your note, but to be able to actually copy that email into note is really not necessary. It becomes that your notes actually become disjointed, and you kind of lose the meaning of when you start copying notes into the email. So it's always best to just reference that note into your email, or the reference that email into the notes. All right, the lien hold, section 2 talks about note any title information not found in the title report. So basically, when you're meeting with the property owner, you're going to discuss the title report with the property owner and note things that may not have been in the title report that verbally you have to convey that to you, so you can write that down in discussion. The record of owners and negotiator meetings. This is where we're looking at it for all the owners, negotiator meetings. That's including the offer letter, any type of counter offers that would be in place for appropriation. The Section 5, it lets them know about then talks about if there's any other types of agreements that needs to be informed. Item number 6 gets into the other parts of remarks. And in those remarks, this is where you can get into some abbreviated information to help give some guidance of what's going to take place. Either you have a mortgage with mortgage information and how a release is going to be obtained. If you have an improvement that's dealing with owner retention of improvement, so that would also go in there as well. Signing the attached notes for that particular part.
Wayne, I have a question that's come into the question box.
Okay.
Items to our construction fields.
Okay. -1 form negotiations. This is on our real estate website. When you receive that assignment, you're going to be putting this information on here that the county route section and the name of the property owner. And if you notice, in some of the sections of this, it talks about the section 1 of the names that we kind of mentioned before. In section 2, it talks about the information, which is the any of the information that was found on the title report, and then it gets into the record of owners meetings. So that's exactly what you're seeing right there. So this is what the form would look like, and it's kind of pre-filled out as an example on there. On the next page, which is to your right, that's the information that you would see that talks about you would need to check off with regards before, and then going down below are the items that verifying of the title report, was it verbal or was it in writing or was it both, appropriation procedures, and the plan letter also as well. On the right hand side, you will see on the RE60-1 is the notes. This is where you're actually typing in the events that have taken place with you and the property owner. Sharing the information there of what has taken place with regards of the contact with the property owner. This is the diary of importance that the district would review and look at And in the event that there is an issue that was brought up with happening out on site, this is the document that would be looked at to see what had taken place, what was said, what was asked, to help clarify any information. All right, that is the first
comment that came in. That information, questions that popped in just as I was reading that off. The next one says, how do I know which form to use, RE60 or 60-1?
Okay, so anytime that you're going to start documenting the information, you will be required to use both forms. Your first form will be the summary sheet of the RE60, where you're just listing the name of the person and various items that's relative to that particular event, like documenting the meetings. And then once you have completed that, you would still utilize the RE60-1 because that's where you're going to document the events that had taken place.
Great. And then the next question says, do you have any guidance on how current the negotiation notes need to be kept up?
The negotiating note in our real estate manual, anytime there's a transaction with the property owner, you should always try to keep that up on a daily basis. Now, we don't tell you that in our manual itself. Let me back that up. But it's kind of looked at it as a common sense thing as if you're talking with the property owner, you want to document the event. And the reason why is because you can get pulled away on different things that you could probably lose what you were discussing with that property owner. So it's kind of an automatic thing that anytime that you are talking to a property owner, you want to document that event as soon as possible. And I'll leave it at as soon as possible.
Great. That's all the questions we have in the question box for right now.
Okay. The next thing we're going to move on to is the billing package. This is located out of the 5201.11A. The billing package is the acquisition and the property owner or contract to sale or purchase. That needs to be in there. Plans, the right-of-way plan should be in there, and it should be the right-of-way plan showing what you have provided the copy to the property owner. So it should be the colored right-of-way plan in that particular package. So with dealing with the billing review, the person that's doing the billing, they should have some type of competency of the acquisition process. Typically with that, a higher level realty specialist or whoever the district manager deems to do the billing review, that should be the person looking at these particular completed packages with a strong background in the acquisition process to understand place. So all of the documents that shows that that will identify some along with them. Do we have any questions?
There's three of them right now. So the first one is, if the negotiations are delegated to attorneys representing the property owner, do those need to be documented the same way?
Yes. If you're dealing this delegated to an attorney, so basically as a third party is involved, first thing needs to happen, you need to make sure that there's some type of a letter that's saying the attorney is going to represent me, and then that needs to be verified with the negotiator, and then all documentation still remains the same.
Okay, the next question is, since both documents are always required, why don't we combine the RE60 and RE60-1?
Well, that was discussed at one point in time before. That's not something that's taken completely off the table, but that's still something that we are looking at. Technology has gotten better, and it's something that is still can be looked at.
And then the last question I currently have is, does correspondence equal copies of emails?
It all depends. Correspondence could be a part of the email if it's sent through or by email, but nevertheless, that should be, if it's a part of the parcel file that is an intricate part of the parcel, then it should be downloaded and incorporated as part of the correspondence for billing package.
Great. That was the last question I had in there, but I did want to read off a comment from one of the participants on yesterday's webinar, and they just wanted you to know that they didn't have time to ask questions because they were too busy taking notes on what you were saying.
Oh, well, they can email me at any point in time and I can still address it.
Great. That's
Okay.
it for right now. Thanks.
Alrighty, and moving on to our next session here, we're going to talk about the beginning process to appropriate. This is out of the 5201.12 that's in our real estate manual. So where we're looking at the taking of private property for public use without the owner's consent upon the payment of justification. ODOT will exercise this process in the event there's no agreement reached with the property owner. This is known as an eminent domain. This is one of the things that we don't like to do because we try to work with every property owner. And we like to come to some type of a good amicable agreement. But there are times we're not able to do that. And this is a tool that is in the toolbox for ODOT to be able to move forward and exercise. That way we can be able to move our projects accordingly and keep our projects on time. We have a quick take, and a quick take is when ODOT can take possession at any time once that petition is filed by the Attorney General's office, and this is mainly for vacant land, and that's where the quick take takes place when we're dealing with vacant land. If we're dealing with parcels that are occupied with a structure, or it has an improvement that's on that particular structure, or anything that has personal property inside of a structure, then we have to exercise 60 days after summons to the owner. And that way they'll be able to work with the attorney generals, work with relocation, and there's a lot of moving parts within that particular portion of it. One of the things that's very, very important, though, I always bring up that in the event that you're dealing with appropriations, things of that nature, you want to make sure that you have plenty of time. You don't want to be rushing up to the final minute to be doing that because of a lot of coordination that has to take place. The FMVE is deposited at the time of the filing, and then, of course, the owner may petition the court to do a withdrawal of the deposit of funds. So, when it's time for the decision to appropriate. So when the negotiations have reached an impasse, the district real estate administrator makes the decision to exercise the power of eminent domain. At least 30 days from the delivery of the NIAGFO, which is the Notice of Intent to Acquire Good Faith Offer, is when they can exercise that right to go ahead and send the letter to appropriate. I know that all 12 districts, once again, try to extend that as much as possible and not move to an immediate appropriation, but the law does give that a right to do that. So we send the appropriation letter. So the appropriation letter serves as a notice, and it advises the owner that this is the last offer by the district, and an appropriation action is imminent to take place. It must be directly to the owner, and how does it get to the owner? So either we can go ahead and do it by a personal delivery or by regular mail. We met the intent by certified mail when we did the Notice of Intent to Acquire Good Faith Offer, which was by certified mail or personal face-to-face. So in this case here, you're allowed to do it by regular mail. At the same time, the negotiator shall advise the owner, the FMVE, being deposit. Of course, they'll have the ability to do a withdrawal, but if they do a withdrawal, the final reward will be reduced by this same amount. So whatever they're going to get on the final dollar amount is going to be reduced because they've already did a withdrawal to what was already deposited into the courts. And ODOT is willing to reopen negotiations prior to filing appropriation in court. Sometimes, as the time passes, property owners may change their mind. Even though they've received the appropriation letter and is traveling through, making his way to the Attorney General's office, getting ready to be filed. Property owners sometimes will change their mind and contact the negotiator to go ahead and to initiate a signing. Okay, what you're looking at right now is the blank form that we have on our web page, the appropriation letter. The areas is county route section, name of the property owner, the project location, FMVE of the Department of Transportation. And of course, on the second filled out, take a look at all these areas here that you're going to be responsible of filling out this information with, and how they're going to be resolving the issue. So all of this has to be completed. Looking at it, the negotiator name is going to have to be on there for the negotiator signature, and then it's typed name, and then the district real estate administrator that basically is supporting the information on that form. Okay, submitting timing needs to be coordinated with the AGL. It's very, very important to give the Attorney Generals a heads up, especially if you have quite a bit of parcels that are. By giving the Attorney Generals a heads up, it helps them to adjust and reallocate their work as needed to be able to accompany these cases as quickly as possible. Looking at 30 days to file the parcel. Once the parcel gets to get 30 days to file the clerk of courts, I'll say 30 to 45 days, depending upon the Attorney General's workload. The negotiator notes needs to be, the title report needs to be updated and completed. And there are times that you, as a negotiator or as a district manager, you're going to be working with the Attorney Generals because there could be some complexity about the title report that the Attorney Generals want to see a little bit more information to help with their case. So always be prepared for that.
Wayne, we have a question that's come into the question pod. It says, I understand that 30 days is the minimum amount of time to negotiate an offer before moving to eminent domain, but what amount of time is commonly used by the districts as a benchmark for when negotiators have reached an impasse?
And that depends upon the district's management team. They try to plan out as much as possible with regards to their the schedule. It all varies. Some will give 30 days, some may give within 2 weeks. It all depends on the criteria of that project, and the districts are the ones that control those due dates with regards to that.
Okay, we have another question that popped in too. It says, are the construction plans to the county the stage 3 plans?
I don't have a good clarity on that. I think some other people that are listening on the line, I would imagine that it should be the stage 3 plans, but I'm sure someone from our office will jump in on that one there. But we'll get an answer for them.
Great. And then we did have a comment from Sean Hillman on the RE60 and 60-1 forms. He said that the new online management system, Real OS, to go live later this summer will essentially combine both of those forms.
Very good. As I said, the modern technology that we have, it definitely will kick in some new processes in. Anything else?
No, that's it for right now.
Okay, great. It moves towards the warrant being ordered. You can see it being ordered in the name of the owner and the clerk of courts. And then once it's filed, the negotiator stops the negotiating. Once that particular parcel is filed in court and the money is deposited in court, then the Attorney General's office is the one that kicks in with the negotiating with the property owner or the owner's attorney. So they have the full contact with the that parcel. Oh, so now we've come to the knowledge check. And then we'll move to the first question.
Excellent.
There we go, Victoria.
I will put the poll question up for them to respond. Now, we do try to get at least 80% response from everyone who's on, so please go ahead and answer. We don't record your answers, so just pick what your gut's telling you to. The first question says, what forms or form is or are used to document the negotiator's notes? Is it RE 100, RE 90, 95, RE 60, or 60-1, RE 44, and RE 45? It looks like, oh my goodness, we're almost right at the 80. Okay, I'm going to close things out. And the responses show that 98% of you picked the RE 60, 60-1. 2% of you, though, chose RE 90 and 95. So I'll hide that. I mean, you can let them know what the real answer is.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, going to the next question.
All right, let me launch that one. This is a true-false question. Negotiators' notes should contain handwritten, abbreviated notes that contain boilerplate language. True or false? Okay, we're up to that 80%, so I'm going to close it out. Share the poll results. 2% said true and 98% said false. I'll hide the poll results if you could show them the correct answer. Excellent.
All right. Move it on.
Okay, I'm going to launch this one. When should the acquisition agent initiate the appropriation process? Negotiations reach an impasse. Property owner refuses to sign any document. Property owner's counteroffer is more than what the district, and that rest of the answer cut off there, I'm sorry. Or all
district's
of
willing
the,
to settle.
thank you. And then all of the above. Okay. They're not voting quite as quickly on this one. All right, there we're at the 80 now. I'm going to stop the poll and share the results. 15% said negotiations reach an impasse, and 85% said all of the above.
Okay.
Hide the results, and then you can show them the answer.
It's all of the above.
Yep. Okay, next question. What document is used to notify the property owner the parcel will be submitted for appropriation? Introduction letter, appropriation letter, NAGFO, none of the above. They're voting pretty quick on this one. That's good. All right, I'm going to close the poll down and share their responses. 4% said introduction letter, 94% said appropriation letter, 2% said none of the above.
Okay.
All right, I've hidden the responses. Great. Okay. Shared the next question on the poll. Once acquisition agent submits parcel for appropriation, negotiations may continue or reopen if the parcel is not filed in court. True or false? Okay. Not voting quite as quickly on this one. All right. Let me share the responses. 92% said true and 8% said false.
Okay.
I've hidden the responses. So the 98% said got it there. Good. Or 92%, I should say. Oops, I'm sorry. I went ahead and put the next question up already before you advance the screen.
It's okay. Very good.
All right. When a parcel has been filed for appropriation and an occupied structure is involved, when may ODOT take possession? 60 days after service of summons, immediately, not at all, none of the above. They're voting pretty quickly on this. I also saw a comment in the question pod just a moment ago. If you are having issues with the polling questions and being able to vote, don't worry about it.
Okay.
So hopefully, it looks like the majority of you are not having issues though, so that's good. All right, I'm going to share the results. 82% said 60 days after service of summons. Nobody said immediately. Not at all was 4%, and none of the above was 14%. So
Okay.
I'll hide that. You can share the answer.
Okay.
All right. And then I believe we're up to the last one.
The last one.
Let me launch the question. It's true or false. The appropriation letter may be delivered by regular mail or personal delivery. True or false? Wow, they voted the quickest on this one. All right. Here's the responses. 80% said true and 20% said false. I'll hide that, and then you can show them the answer. Excellent.
All right.
Thank you so much for doing those questions.
All right. Moving onward. All right. At this point, this concludes the third session of Acquisition 102A. And Sean Crawford and I greatly appreciate everyone. I know that you're celebrating that this is over and done with. And
Dwayne, and I just wanted to a number of people who were very grateful for that. So we appreciate your time and changing the